What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bros Talking Soccer Podcast, episode 97 here on YouTube. Philadelphia Union are playing New York City later today, so I got on all my Union gear. I got on Union socks. I don't have Union underwear or pants. If anybody wants to send those to me, that would be fantastic. I am here with just my brother, Matt. Matt, how you doing today? Or Matt, just say hello. Sorry.
Hello. Sorry, I got my scarf all tangled up with my headphones here, so if there's a noise coming from my end, I'm trying to fix it.
Okay.
Okay.
No
Should be
noise
good
yet.
now.
Okay. Well, that's good. Christian is at work. He's having a busy week, and apologies that this podcast is a little bit later than normal. We thought we could do it a couple different times, and it just didn't work out. And so we're just plowing ahead without Christian.
Yeah, Christian taking this seriously as usual.
Yep, exactly. So there is that. We are still going to have a trivia question. So I found one, and I'm going to, I guess, Matt, we didn't talk about this before, but I'll just play host for Christian's Corner. I still want to talk about his topics, unless you would like to.
Okay, let me look at his. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so his topics were inner player laying behind the wall, De Bruyne unhappy with the NFL, and then Napoli owner saying soccer games are too long and boring.
Yeah.
Which is always.
We can do that.
Yeah, which is always interesting. If you are watching live on YouTube, hello, welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in. I have the chat feature up here in the background, so say hello, interact with us as we go along here. If you have any questions you want us to talk about, or if you have thoughts on anything we're talking about, would love to hear from you. And if you're watching at some point in the future, still feel free to leave a comment, and I monitor that thing pretty closely, and we can chat via that, or we'll talk on a future podcast. So, Matt, you ready to get this thing started?
Yeah.
All right, let's get it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bros Talking Soccer Podcast, episode 97. My name is Dave Knittel, and I'm here with my brother Matt to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian is working, and we apologize that this is a little bit late. We were trying to coordinate having him on. It just didn't work out, but we are joined by Matt. Matt, hello. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Dave. Thanks for asking. I had an exam yesterday and got a full-time offer for a job. So, that felt good.
That's awesome.
And, I got another test tomorrow, so pretty busy week.
All right. Well, buckle down, and that's awesome about having the full-time offer. So exciting times for Matthew. Yeah. I am rocking all of my Union gear that I possibly can because they are playing New York City FC later today in the MLS Cup playoffs. So I am pumped for that. I got on, anyone watching live on YouTube, you can see my Sons of Ben hat, jersey, scarf. I got socks on here. I don't think I'm flexible enough to get them up there. Oh, there we go. Got them up there. But beyond that, Matt, I had a fantastic weekend at that wellness retreat that I was going to. I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you about it. It wasn't just yoga. I didn't know what to expect going into it. We did boxing class on Sunday. I'm still so sore from that. It is now Wednesday. And we just had a fantastic time, learned a ton of stuff about wellness. I couldn't recommend it highly enough. We had a fantastic time. So Matt, anything else to add before we get to the trivia question?
No, I think we're ready to move on.
All right, cool. So since MLS just finished their regular season, I wanted to do an MLS-inspired trivia question. And New York Red Bulls just broke the single-season points record for most points in a regular season. So, Matt, I'll ask you, how many points did they get this year? And then I'll also ask you the other top 5 teams in MLS history and what their point totals were. So, listeners, you will think on that. Matt, I'm sure we'll be thinking hard, and then we'll give our guesses, and I'll reveal the answer at the end there. Matt, I'm going to kick it over to you for Matt's time here on this podcast.
All right, thanks, Dave. Hey everyone, welcome to Matt's time here on this podcast.
One question, or not question, sorry, I forgot to bring this up originally, and we just wanted to send our thoughts and prayers to everyone affected by the Leicester City helicopter crash. And, there's all kinds of terrible stuff going on in the world with the Pennsylvania synagogue shooting. And so thoughts and prayers to everybody affected by, all the different tragedies that have happened this week. Apologies that I forgot to say that earlier. Matt, I'm sorry, back over to you.
All right. We're sending our condolences there, but, welcome to Matt's time here on this podcast. We'll start off with, more, I guess, sad news. If you're a Real Madrid fan, that is, probably the worst start to a season that I've seen Real Madrid have in probably since I started watching soccer. And it ended with the coach being fired, Lobo. Why can I never pronounce his name?
I think it's Lopetegui. Lopetegui.
Okay,
Let's
yeah.
just go with that.
Yeah, so he was sacked. Was it 12 matches into the
I want to say 14, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. They're in ninth place. They just got thrashed by Barcelona. Dave, what do you think the state of Real Madrid is moving forward? Is it something to be concerned about? Is this something that was expected to happen or inevitable? Or what's just your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, I think it was inevitable from the standpoint of they didn't really replace players over the last like 4 or 5 years, really. I mean, Real Madrid was always famous for getting kind of the high profile players who, were the world's best. And over the last few years, since pretty much they got Gareth Bale, I can't remember too many like huge name players that they signed. I know they signed Isco and they've signed
Yeah.
kids through their academy, but they haven't really gone out and replenished all these people. And so for me, I think
Courtois,
this,
I guess.
yeah,
Courtois is like the biggest name, but
but
it's not even something they needed.
exactly. That was so weird for me because they just didn't need it. And just Florentino Perez was just hell bent on signing him for whatever reason. And so, yeah, I mean, I think they are seriously in trouble. Now, it is Real Madrid. They have so much money that I would imagine they'll be able to recover from this fairly quickly. But this season might be a wash.
There's a chance they won't make the Champions League. Can you
So,
imagine a Champions League campaign without Real Madrid?
yeah, that would be insane. I mean, I still would. I know it's so tough for me to expect them not to finish in at least fourth in La Liga. I mean, I know that they're down in ninth right now, but they're still what 3/4 of the season? I guess not 3/4, about 2/3 of the season still to play
Yeah.
at least. So I would expect them to right the ship well enough to at least come in fourth.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it was somewhat inevitable. I don't think the club is in trouble, especially considering that they just won four out of the last five Champions Leagues. Um, it was so hard to probably keep that pace up, and this like crash, I don't think it's necessarily bad for the club. I think it's pushing them maybe in the new direction, like you were saying, like 4 to 5 years where they probably haven't replaced players. And I think then like hitting the bottom kind of is going to help them realize that we really need to vamp this up. And um, it seemed like even like in the league the last couple years, it seems like they're kind of like because of their Champions League success, like it seems like they kind of half-ass things.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've noticed, like it's like the same players who just like always got like were just always successful, and like no matter what they did, it just ended up with trophies. But I feel like right now it's just like reality's kind of hitting them.
Yeah, I think it's only natural. I mean, in sports and a lot of different professions, it's you always want to have people behind you sort of pushing you and motivating you. And especially in soccer, which is such a competitive atmosphere, if you're not having that and people just naturally get complacent and, not everybody is going to work their absolute hardest and just have that internal self-motivation. And so the fact that they haven't replaced players, that may be playing a role in all of this.
Yeah, actually, earlier today I saw like a tweet or from like Alexander Zinchenko, a quote from him, a Man City left back, about like how players of the club like struggle to get matches, especially the last couple of weeks at Manchester City, and he was saying how it's like a good thing for the culture of the club, and I think it's also like Pep brought that. Whereas like we have two players for every position, so like you always have to be earning your spot. Madrid, I can't even think of after like their five maybe bench players, like I can't really think of anyone in their lineup like who actually gets time after that.
Agreed. Now, it is a tightrope that you need to walk, especially with players that have egos. And so someone like Pep can do that. I don't know how well Lopetegui could have managed that situation. And I know we were talking before we went live, the new manager, I know he's been at Real Madrid in youth coaching and coaching in the second team. And now he's taken over. So he clearly is familiar with the atmosphere, but I don't know how much respect he naturally commands. And so it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
kind of how he can manage.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because Zidane kind of came through Real Madrid coaching system, and he knew the culture of the club. He played there, but I was thinking like maybe it's probably a little bit different. When you have Zidane, the respect that he would command versus maybe somebody not known as much or not as well respected.
Yeah, and Solari did play at Real Madrid. He was a very talented player, but there's still different levels to
Yeah,
talent. Like Zidane was, just one of the best players ever.
yeah. So you think they'll figure it out though by the end of the year to get to fourth
Yes, I
at
think
least?
yes, I think they figured out to get the fourth. I think the title's gone. I would be shocked if they go far in Champions League, but they still have a lot of those players, so they could right the ship there. But I think that they will end up getting fourth and qualifying for next season's Champions League. But I would be shocked if they make it past the quarterfinals of the Champions League this year, just based on the way that they're playing right now.
Yeah. Um, I probably agree with that. You have anything else you want to add about Real Madrid?
No, I'm good.
All right, so let's bring it over to America. And as Dave was saying earlier, the MLS season is now over, the regular season, playoff time. On match day 34 for the LA Galaxy, they were up 2-0, ended up losing 3-2 to the Dynamo, I want to say.
Yep.
Yeah, wow. You were surprised I knew that.
Yes, I was.
And after the game, Zlatan Ibrahimovic and I'm pretty sure it was the Santos brothers.
I believe so.
Were
Yeah.
okay. They refused to talk to the media afterwards, and just kind of left the stadium without saying anything. Dave, do you have a problem with them leaving?
I do. I think it shows a lack of leadership from those players. And I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, everybody's sad and disappointed. But specifically in America, the way that athletes are treated here and the way they interact with the media, I think that the media has a right to talk to them. I know overseas it's different, and there's not quite as much media access. But the way that sports operate, kind of over here, the media generally has access to ask players questions. And for three of the top maybe 5 or 6 players on the LA Galaxy and some of the most high profile ones to not be there for media questions after such a huge letdown, I think is such a cop out by them.
Okay. Do you think it's well? You were saying like in America. Do you think it could be because none of them are American? Well, I mean, the Dos Santoses have been here for probably a couple years now, right?
I
So they
think
should.
Jonathan came last summer. Gio's been here for a little bit longer, and Zlatan
Yeah.
just came. But they know the culture. They've been there for other games. It's not like they just got here last week.
Yeah, that's true. Um, yeah, for me, like as like a soccer player and just like as like a person, I get why you would kind of storm off, and the players that they are and the clubs that they have been on to then fail in the MLS. Like I'm sure in their head they have no idea what the hell was talking to anybody. But like you were saying, like the way we treat media and the relationship they have with the players, we kind of have like a right to hear their reactions after. So I mean it sucks for them, but I think they should have at least stayed.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I know Gio did not have a very good year. I know a lot of the Galaxy players didn't have a great year, but Gio in particular did not really do great. Jonathan, I think, was kind of used all over the place, maybe wasn't put in his best places to succeed. And Zlatan really did have a good year, so you can't really fault Zlatan for why they ended up in the position that they did. But at the end of the day, these are some of your highest paid players, some of your most high profile players, and they need to be there as leaders to answer the media questions that inevitably come after a failure like this.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Ibra's gonna stay for next year?
I don't know. It really depends on who they sign as a manager and what they do as far as rebuilding. Because the Galaxy need like a full rebuild. They need to reevaluate kind of their infrastructure. They have some of the best academy players in the country. They've had them for the last 10 years, and they just don't come through their system. And it seems to be a lack of roster planning because the Galaxy seem to sign players that play similar roles and pay them tons of money, and they don't incorporate their academy. And I don't know, they need somebody with either better long-term vision in a technical director type of role. I think Chris Klein is in that right now, and they really need a high-profile manager to come in there and manage Ibra's ego and kind of rebuild that whole roster if Ibra is going to stay.
They have I'm thinking like their youth academy. They have the one kid that had the American and Mexican citizenship. I think he signed with Mexico, but he's like 16 and he like is killing it for LA too, right?
Yeah. I want to say it's like Ismail. I can't remember. It's yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's absolutely tearing it up. I want to say he was 15 and he might be 16 now, but he's killing it up for the second team in the LA Galaxy. And for now, he signed with Mexico at the youth team level, so he hasn't fully closed off the U.S.
Oh, okay. Do you have anything else you want to add about Ibra or talking to Meteor or the LA Galaxy?
I mean, do you think Eber's going to be there next year?
I think. I mean, I think so. I mean, it would suck to see him kind of go out, especially in the last game, him not scoring or really, creating a chance for it. It would suck for him his last game to him not help his team out and then kind of end with the media and then him just walk away from American soccer. For as like crazy as his American soccer career started in that first game, to like end like that, it would just be horrible for like
Yeah,
a fan's perspective.
it definitely would be. Just circling back, the kid's name was Efrain Alvarez, or his name is. I shouldn't say was. His name
Yeah,
is Efrain Alvarez.
nice. Um, yeah. Anything else or no?
I don't think I have anything else on this topic.
All right, I think that's gonna conclude Matt's time here on this podcast. But listen to some music, and we'll be right back.
Good stuff. All right, quick plug for Stadium Scene. Do you want to be involved?
No. Hold up. This is getting like real quick. Let me disconnect my headphones and reconnect them.
Okay.
You're like sounding like a robot right now.
I am a robot. Technically, we're all robots. You know, when you really think about it.
Well, I didn't think about it because I didn't hear you a second ago because I was disconnecting my headphones.
We're all robots.
I'm not a robot.
Woody Allen?
How many minutes was that?
I was 14. And that was from when I started. So your segment was.
Okay. I was gonna say that was a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, no, your segment was less. Are you good? Headphones?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What's up, everyone? Want to slow down. What's up, everyone? Wanted to give a quick plug for our partner, StadiumScene.tv. You know StadiumScene.tv. It's the website you want to check out if you are going to a stadium in the US or Canada and you need recommendations on where to park, what bars and restaurants to check out before and after the match, and how to get to the match. They also have reviews and recommendations for what to do at the stadiums. If you go to a match or a game, leave a review. It's all different kinds of stadiums, not just specific to soccer, so you want to check them out. In addition to that, they partner with content creators like us at Bros Talking Soccer to offer all different kinds of sports content to their website visitors, blog posts, YouTube videos, and podcasts. Go check them out, stadiumscene.tv. Support us and support them. All right. Cool. All right. I'll welcome people back and jump into Christian's Corner.
Is he gonna be mad that you took it?
Nah, I don't think so. I'm going to try to honor him. I'm going to say, hey, everybody.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. This is Dave, but I am hosting Christian's Corner. He is going to be so excited to hear me host this. I'm sure he will be thrilled and honored that I am serving in his place. First thing he wanted to talk about was the Inter versus FC Barcelona match in the Champions League last week. I forget. I want to say Brozovic. I can't remember the outside back's name.
I think so too.
Okay.
Isn't he a CDM?
Is he a CDM? Okay, whoever he was.
I got him in Ultimate Team.
Yeah, okay, CDM. So there you go. So a player for Inter laid behind the wall when Luis Suarez went to go hit a free kick. So the wall jumped, and he wasn't laying behind the wall. We've seen this before where players will sometimes lay down on the ground behind the wall to try to block that low shot. But for him, he was actually standing next to the wall, and as Suarez went to go hit it, he ran and sort of dove down onto the ground and ended up blocking the shot. So, Matt, have you seen this tactic before? What'd you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think like only like one time did I see like a player like laying down to prevent it. But yeah, obviously this is something that I haven't seen before. A player like running to dive underneath the wall. I mean, it worked. It's an interesting play, but I support it.
Yeah, it was very, very innovative. It's always fun and interesting looking at people trying to do stuff different on free kicks from both from an offensive and defensive perspective. Like for some reason, I don't know why this just jumped into my head, but I don't know if you've ever seen the highlight where two guys are on their knees about 3 yards away from the ball. They're on offense and they're trying to block the goalkeeper, and the guy who's on offense runs to come up and shoot, and he just kicks the ball right into his
Oh my
teammate's
God.
face.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah. So, this isn't, like that in any way, but it's always fun and interesting just to see people doing different creative things offensively and defensively on free kicks. So, yeah, I'm a fan of this.
Yeah. I think if, they got a result out of that match, this would be like a really big deal and like something he could like be remembered by. That time they beat Barcelona, but obviously that didn't
That,
work out the way they thought.
yeah, that did not. But props to him for doing this, and we'll see if other teams adopt similar tactics in the future. Matt, anything else you want to add on this topic?
No, I don't think so.
All right,
Oh,
cool.
actually, real quick, since we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, I forget. And Barcelona, Messi, Barcelona doctors, he's already back a week and a half after breaking his arm. It's magic.
Yep. That is a good callback to previous episodes. So yeah, I can't remember what episode. I'll look it up while we're talking here, and if listeners want to go check it out, well, you should definitely go do that. All right, next topic Christian wanted to talk about here in Christian's Corner. Kevin De Bruyne recently came out and complained about the state of the pitch at Wembley for the Spurs versus Man City match. I think anyone who watched the match could just tell how terrible it was. Matt, what were your thoughts on De Bruyne calling this out and just the match going ahead on this field?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure everybody in England called this out. I don't know if we're singling out De Bruyne here, but like everyone pretty much seemed like they had a problem with this. It didn't make sense. I think I did read City had the opportunity to switch the fixture because they knew about the game. So, but I think that would mean we would have to play at home and then we'd have another away game at the end of the season. And I don't know, but for some reason, like the timing, it would just made more sense to go away now. I think that's the reason why we did it. But I don't think it impacted the game that much. I think it was more of like a media thing than it impacted the game. Obviously, the Lamella chance in the second half, the ball took a little bit of a bobble right before he hit it, and he was in on goal, and he ended up hitting it over the bar. But other than that, like the way City were playing didn't seem to be impacted too much by it. They created so many chances. I don't think it meant too much.
I don't think Spurs were actually impacted all that much either. I thought Spurs, they didn't start particularly well, and they didn't really have a ton of chances, but they were physical. I thought Winks was actually really good when he came on.
Yeah.
I haven't been convinced by him. This was probably the best game that I've seen him play. I don't watch a ton of Tottenham, but this was the first time I realized that, oh, okay, this kid might be something special, because he was dribbling at pace on that terrible field, just gliding by players, and so I was impressed by him.
Like during the game, you see like a funny tweet. It's like, meanwhile, it was like Man City bring on Kevin De Bruyne. Meanwhile, Tottenham bring on Harry Winks, and then it was like he ended up playing incredible. And then the guy like ended up taking it back. He's like, well, apparently he's better than Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, because De Bruyne, I mean, granted, De Bruyne has been injured and is working his way back in, but he didn't have the greatest substitute appearance. Now, all of this is coming about because, and this isn't, I don't know if Christian wanted to talk about this, but this is all coming about because Tottenham Stadium is still not ready.
Okay, okay. This is what I was thinking. Like, thank God you brought that up.
Yeah.
Like, how is the FA just like okay with this?
I mean, what are they going to do? Like, Tottenham legitimately has nowhere to play. They demolished their old stadium, and their new stadium isn't safe and ready.
Like,
and
how do they not like get fined for it? Like, how is there no like, just like, there's no consequences for this whole disaster?
Well, there might be consequences for this disaster, because Tottenham, I just saw, had to take like another something like £200 million loan, and the cost of the stadium is just going crazy. And I really worry about them long term financially with all of these costs just continuing to pile up. I know Dele Alli just signed a new contract. I don't know if they're going to have to sell some players to offset some of this. It'll be interesting to just see how they cope with all of this.
Well, I mean, that's probably why they haven't been in the transfer. I mean, they this summer. Yeah, I mean, maybe it already has happened.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree, but they're still going to have to carry this debt. It's not like that just goes away. So I would agree that they've been careful so far, but that can only last so long. Like there's going to be a drop off where you're going to need to replace players, and you're not going to find all of these players through your youth academy and through signing them at a young age at a discount. Like if you're going to compete at the top end of the Premier League table, you need to buy the best players kind of in the world.
So, what do you think Tottenham's? I guess we're changing the subject a little bit. I
That's
don't even
fine.
know how we got here. What do you think like Tottenham's like goals are as a club? Because like right now, isn't this like the best Premier League start ever, and they're not even top four?
Yeah, well, their goals are to win trophies, right? They still haven't won a trophy, and I
Oh,
think
that's what. Yeah, what's his Pochettino? He said, what was the goal? Did you see his quote that he came out with?
no.
He said like winning isn't important. Um, it was the weirdest thing. He was like, winning isn't really important. It's just how the team plays. We're having our best start ever. About just trophies. I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
think that might be a
so
bit of
like,
coach speak, like trying to misdirect and like at the end of the
okay,
day, for me, at the end of the day, yeah, they need to win trophies, and for a lot of people, that needs to be the case. I get that he's saying that, and maybe he's using that as motivation for his team or trying to take the pressure off of them. But they have to win trophies.
so you think that's their not just like make Champions League and do their best?
Well, that can only last for so long. I mean, I know Arsenal won some FA Cups and things like that, but Arsenal was stuck in that cycle of just trying to get to the Champions League and not really competing beyond just getting there and competing in whether it's the Premier League and on those fronts. And you saw their fan base just kind of not deteriorate, but just really get frustrated with their manager. Because at the end of the day, we you play.
Well, also the same manager and went undefeated, and they had all the legends, and then they went from that immediately into that period of kind of just coasting, whereas like Tottenham are this is probably their period of doing great.
Yeah, but still, the end at the end of the day, for me, it's like you play to win trophies. Like I understand that in England, everybody's at a different level, and there are teams that are just happy with being mid-table and staying in the Premier League. But I don't know, for a team like Tottenham, which considers itself a big six club, because there's six clubs in England now that are considered the big teams, they need to win trophies. Like
Yeah.
that just has to be a goal for them. Now, whether they achieve it or not is a different story, and what they can deem to be adequate is different. So maybe a Champions League is a nice, adequate fallback, but they should strive to win a trophy.
Yeah, and especially like this year with all their stadium, like if they don't finish Champions League money, like they could be in trouble financially.
Seriously. So it'll be interesting to follow kind of the rest of their season. I like their team, but there's just so much talent in the Premier League, especially at the top end right now, that they've had their best start ever. And what are they sitting like sixth, fifth, or sixth, something like that?
They're in fifth. They're in fifth.
Yeah, so it's going to be a tough battle because I think Liverpool, City, and Chelsea are by far the best teams.
Yeah.
Then you'll have Arsenal and Tottenham are really going to be pushing each other for that fourth spot. And the way Arsenal's on a bit of a roll, I think that they still have some issues to address. And Tottenham does have that cohesion, but the depth, actually in both teams, the depth isn't the greatest. So that'll be a really interesting battle for fourth.
Yeah. I agree.
Anything else to add here?
No.
All right, cool. Last thing Christian wanted to talk about. I don't have the specific quote because Christian doesn't send links to any articles or anything like that. But apparently, the Napoli owner, who we all, know and have called out in the past or discussed, on previous podcasts, he recently said soccer games are too long and boring. FIFA and UEFA need to change rules. Christian, nope, you're not Christian. You're Matt. Matt, what do you think of are soccer games too long and boring?
Um, I think I need to start following Serie A because this man is just incredible. I don't know, like, how are you an owner of a soccer team and you care enough to own it and then just say like, oh, I don't like it. He's just like ridiculous, and I think we've talked about him like 3 or 4 times before in the podcast, all within the last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's entertaining, all right.
he's a
Yeah,
character.
I don't know. I don't know what he's going for. here at
So
all.
does he have a point in any way? Like, are they too long? Does the field need to be condensed? Like, you know, are there other things that need to change to make the game more entertaining, especially as kind of like consumer preferences change? You're hearing about you know, kind of younger people don't consume content in the same way. They still
Yeah.
consume a ton of content, but they watch it mainly in highlights and their attention spans are shorter. Like, does he have some sort of a point there?
For soccer, I don't know if it does make sense. I know, like, I think the things for the better that they're making for soccer is like VAR. I think that's the thing for the better, or maybe like going into offsides. Like, I don't think the rules necessarily need to change. I think the rules are perfect right now. Whereas, like, I know baseball, especially because they're losing like so much viewership in the United States. Like they are really trying to change things to get like people's attention, but it's so hard to do with soccer. Like they made the stitches on baseballs smaller, so like pitchers can't get as much like whip on it, so it's easier to hit. So now like players are hitting like way more home runs. Like I don't know if like for ball lighter or like bouncy. Like I don't know what you could, but that wouldn't make sense. Like it's so hard to
Well,
come
they
up with
they've
what.
definitely done that with soccer balls, though. They've made
Oh
them
yeah,
lighter and
yeah,
move more.
yeah. But like, and like that's never been a problem like for the game. I don't think so. Like I don't know what else you can do like other than like normal like not like rule changes other than I don't know.
So this is a perfect example because the Union just played them this past weekend, and you know, the Union are about to play them again. But New York City FC, their field is like so tiny and possibly misshapen. There's different reports on that, but it's a different game because people don't have as much time on the ball, so there's more points of conflict. So there's more opportunities for people to turn the ball over, and it's a much sloppier game, and so it's not as pleasing to the eye of people that like, you know, possessive soccer and beautiful movements and interchanges and all of that. But it does create more just variance and more just like chaos almost for players. And so I don't know, maybe if you condense the field, that might be something to address the boring aspect. So for me, just to make this absolutely clear, I don't think soccer games are too long or the sport is too boring. I think the games are 45 minutes. I'm sorry, the halves are 45 minutes. You know, there might be a couple minutes added on, but it's a running clock. It's, you know,
Yeah, like
matches are,
every other sporting event is like our sports are basically longer. This
yeah.
is probably like the shortest sporting event in America.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love it. And it's like so easy to plan your day out because you know that a game's going to be over at this time, like, you know, more or less, you know, within a 5 to 10 minute window. And add on top of that, I don't think they're boring, especially when you understand the tactics and things that are going on beneath the surface. I don't think games are boring. And so even if it's a 0-0, there could be lots of shots or there could be interesting things going on tactically, you know, that make it interesting. And so I don't think anything needs to happen on that front. And so I think maybe it's just marketing and educating people on the nuances of the sport. Maybe that'll make it less boring. I was just trying to play devil's advocate and see if there were other things that could potentially be done that wouldn't completely.
I was just like thinking on the I was just like thinking on the spot like anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, and the baseball thing, I guess, like the design of the ball that kind of has happened with soccer, but like even like the pitchers not having as much time between pitches or something like that to speed the game up. Maybe that's like a similar like getting rid of stop. No, that wouldn't even make sense.
Like
I
for
don't even know.
throw-ins, like they only have like 3 seconds to get a throw-in in or
Or just
something
like
like
no
that.
stoppage time, you know, or like how college just the countdown
Like,
clock. Maybe like yeah, the freaking
but I
countdown.
think more drama happens sometimes with the unknown of the referee when he's going to blow his whistle and something like that. So for
Yeah,
me,
I know that. I agree. I was just thinking of like
yeah.
anything. Like, what could he possibly be talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. So if anyone has thoughts on this topic, please let us know. You know, tweet at us at BT Soccer Pod, or, you know, send an email, or, you know, you can find us on the social media platforms out there. Matt, anything else you want to add on this topic?
No.
All right, cool. So that will bring us to the end of Christian's Corner. I hope you had a great time, and hopefully I did it somewhat of justice playing interim host here. You're going to hear a little bit more music, and then I will be back with my segment right after this music and a little message from FNX.network. All right, cool. I thought that went well. 16 minutes, a little bit long, but pretty good discussion. We took it kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so friggin' sore from boxing. All right. Hey, everybody, breaking in with another partner announcement, FNX.network. FNX.network is a website that has stories, podcasts, and all different kinds of content about a variety of topics: sports, entertainment, video games, lifestyle, tech, and more. You want to check all that stuff out, including our stuff. Bros Talking Soccer is over on FNX.network, along with a ton of other awesome content. Go give them a follow. They are constantly adding new partners. They're expanding left and right. I know Shoot the Defense has all kinds of interesting interviews with managers and coaches all around the world and players and stuff like that. So yeah, go check them out, FNX.network. All right, cool. And then last topic here. Or last section here. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dave's. This is my section of the podcast. I know I was just talking, but these are the topics that I wanted to talk about. First thing up, Jose Mourinho is apparently what the hell do I want to think of the right way to say this, but he is tasked with approving his own boss. So apparently Manchester United, reportedly by ESPN, I have it linked in the podcast show notes and video description, is looking for a technical director, but Jose has some sort of, I don't know if it's a clause in his contract or he needs to approve the technical director. So he is virtually approving his own boss before they're able to hire a technical director. Matt, your thoughts on this whole situation?
Yeah, at first, just because it's like Jose and how he's been in the media lately, I was like, well, this is ridiculous. But, just knowing him and probably for the best at this club, it's probably good that they get along, Jose and whoever his boss is. So I think it kind of does make sense. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I need the details of his contract. However, like the amount of power he has here and just like what he's done with this club and how everyone's somehow just okay with it. It's just incredible. And I think it does make sense. Like if your manager and technical director are getting along and are on the same page, I think it probably is best for the club.
I agree with that. But does Jose get along with anybody? Like I find it hard to, and the article basically said, in all likelihood, there will not be a technical director appointed until Jose leaves. Because
he approves of no one.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically that's basically how he operates. And so but yeah, I just find it interesting. I mean, you make a really good point that it's probably in everybody's best interest that everybody gets along, but at the end of the day, the technical director needs to be the one with the power. Otherwise, he's completely undermined. So the fact that Jose approves him just immediately sort of undermines the whole position to begin with. So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like trying to think of like what other situation that's ever happened. I remember, well, like I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but like the Eagles when we had Chip Kelly when he became our general manager and head coach and just started sending all of our players just all over the NFL, and we just had like no stability. And it was just like if he gets this power, like what could he do?
Yeah, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to just follow all of that. United, I know they got a win this week against Everton, but I know we've talked about Jose a bunch in recent, so I don't want to harp too much on this, but I just don't see a way that he makes it beyond this season. So, but I know he's got a contract. Yeah.
I think we talked about this before. You think he's gone before Pogba's gone?
Yeah. I think for Manchester United's sake, they should side with Pogba over Mourinho, and I still think he's gone before the winter transfer window. Because I just think if they are sitting down, I don't know where they are right now, Matt. I don't know if you have it. All right, they're in sixth. Okay, I know they were sitting lower before that, but if they're in sixth, and if they're, I think I said 8 or 9 points away from fourth coming into the transfer window, I don't know how you could possibly give him the reins to sort of fix things, because I think he might just mess things up more at that point, and you're going to be stuck with an even bigger sort of rebuild. So that's kind of where I stand on everything.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add about Jose?
Nah.
All right. Before I forgot to mention this in our last segment, Matt brought up the magical Barcelona doctors. That was in episode 94. So if you want to learn more about that, go listen to episode 94 where we talk about that. And I think we have timestamps. So if you want to go to that specific section, you should be able to fairly easily. All right. Last topic I wanted to talk about here, getting back to MLS. So Paul Tenorio recently came out with an article for The Athletic. Sam Stejskal, who is a MLS reporter, he's written about this in the past as well. MLS currently has what are called homegrown territories, where MLS markets basically everyone's kind of different. But so for the Philadelphia Union, it's like a 75-mile radius around their stadium with an overlap into New York that, is somewhat protected. But every team is different, and they basically have a protected area sort of around their stadium and or city that they can sign youth academy players from, and no other MLS team can come in and sign players from that area. MLS is looking at doing away with these homegrown territories and thus opening up the system to whoever wants to recruit players from specific areas that would be allowed. And apparently almost all the technical directors want to see this, and it's being pretty well received by most people involved in MLS. Matt, I don't know if you have thoughts on kind of opening up the system to players from all over can sort of move to the best academies.
Yeah. So first thing I want to say before I answer that, United's in 8th.
Okay.
Behind Bournemouth and Watford too.
There you go.
Did not realize that. But about the youth academy, I think it's going to push the MLS clubs further because you have to develop your youth academy to get people to want to play there. I think it's going to have these clubs like investing so much more time into getting the best players from wherever they are in the country. So I think it's best for the MLS to kind of open it up to everyone.
Yeah, I think it's best for MLS too, just to, basically increase competition and, really just promote development of youth players. And to add on top of this with, USL sort of expanding and the lower divisions here expanding, and there's rumors that they're going to be required to have academies as well. I think it's only good that the system just really opens up. And if we can, I forgot to check on this, and I meant to talk about this on a previous podcast, but recently, we're going to go down a slight rabbit hole here, people, so stick with me. Crossfire, which is the youth academy in Seattle that helped develop DeAndre Yedlin, was challenging MLS and U.S. soccer for transfer fees associated with training compensation and solidarity payments for DeAndre Yedlin's transfer to Tottenham, which was a couple years ago from Seattle. So anyone, quick just rundown of what I'm talking about. Basically, if a youth player plays with a youth academy anywhere in the world, when that player signs a professional contract, any of the teams that he played on as a youth and was registered for get a piece of his first sort of signing as a payment for developing that player. Add on top of that, every time that player is transferred, the youth academy, again, it's based on some sort of calculation, and it's mathematical. It's not like it's however many years he was there plus a percentage of the transfer fee, is simplifying things. They get a transfer. They get a piece of every single transfer that player has. U.S. does not function that way. The U.S. doesn't function that way, they claim, because of a legal ruling, something to do with child labor laws and so on and so forth. It should be noted that MLS is in favor of having training compensation solidarity payments. It's apparently the players' union that does not want it. So that's a quick rundown of everything that's happening. Crossfire recently challenged this with FIFA's official appeals committee, and there was supposed to be a ruling on all of that recently. And so I don't know if anything happened with that. Matt, have you heard of anything about it?
No. How much money are they owed or trying to get from this Yedlin?
I think
how much is this really worth?
I think it's 6 figures. Like it's not like an insignificant amount of money. So yeah, and that was just for something like a $5 million transfer. So because he played there for a number of years, I think it's something like $40,000 for every year a player was in an academy, is generally I could be wrong about the specifics, but it's not like it's just $5,000. This is something that could fund other development. And so everybody who wants to talk about pay to play in the US and doing away with or really improving our youth academies, this is something that would be absolutely crucial. And so I'm trying to tie it all in here is if we can get training compensation and solidarity payments into America, I think that would be amazing for our youth development. And I think that's kind of the silver bullet to really unlocking the potential here.
Yeah, I
Any other?
agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think just like thoughts about it. Like if when we were still playing, like we could only compete against the Philadelphia region kids and like the Philadelphia area, Jersey, the California kids. Like I feel like that's like a good concentration of like where a lot of the best players are coming from. So it's like it's so much better for the other teams if like you could go to anywhere else in the country, get like kids from there because there is like geographical differences in the level of play throughout the United States. I mean, it's so big and people play different sports in different parts of the country.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a good point. Circling back to what the original topic was, and MLS. Yeah, sorry, MLS. I went down a rabbit hole there, but we're back. MLS podcast, Extra Time Radio, talked about how in for an MLS academy, they are only allocated 48 slots per age group. So you can only have 24 kids per team, and you can only have 2 teams per age group. So theoretically, the entire Philadelphia market for each age only has 48 kids. Like there are more talented kids than that out there. New York and LA, it's even more,
Yeah.
bigger than that. And so, Matt, you're spot on there where, there are talented kids in those areas and they physically aren't even able to sign with the Philadelphia because of the way MLS restricts things. And so that's where having, whether it's other MLS academies or, lower division academies to develop players would be key.
Yeah.
So great point.
Hey, thanks.
No problem. Okay. Anything else to add on this topic?
Nah.
All right, before we get to our listener question this week, wanted to give a quick plug for one of my projects, the Soccer Tavern, which is a YouTube channel making videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. We have all kinds of videos on there about Premier League club histories, history of or explanations of soccer terms. Why is it called a pitch? Why is it called a nutmeg? So on and so forth. We have history of the sport of soccer, where did it come from, how did it start, and all of that, and tons of other videos. So go check out the Soccer Tavern on YouTube. It's in the podcast show notes and YouTube video description. Just one question this week. It comes to us from @SoccerNoobUSA. That's our friend Matthew from last week's podcast. What level of the English pyramid is MLS most like? His guess is that it's close to championship, like New York Red Bulls, and top teams could make a promotion playoff. I know we talked about this on a previous podcast, Matt, but do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, well, obviously it's not the level of the Premier League because, just the top teams are just, and even the bottom teams other than maybe Cardiff. Sorry if you're a Cardiff fan. It's like those teams just have the financial backing and just the players to just push every single week, week in, week out, which I don't think the MLS really has. The championship, I think, is a pretty good level. I think that's where the best MLS teams could do pretty well. I don't think the bad MLS teams would do well in there though at all.
No, yeah, the earthquakes or the fire or something like that would really struggle in that. So we talk more about this on episode 84. If anybody wants to go check this out, or Soccer Noob, you want some more details where we get into this in a little bit more depth. For me, the issue with MLS is it comes down to depth of roster, and because we have salary caps and because there are so many salary restrictions, the top end of MLS rosters could compete with the lower end of the Premier League and top end of the Championship. But really, where the roster really falls down is the middle and bottom part of it. And with a grueling season that exists in England, I mean, the MLS teams would just seriously struggle. What's up?
You from The Office when you're prison Mike, you got your cap on right now, and he says everything is gruel. The food's gruel, and just hear you saying grueling. You look like prison Mike.
All right, so there you have it, people. So anyone not getting this awesome content on YouTube, you want to check out our YouTube channel so you can see me looking like prison Mike, apparently. Matt, anything else to add on that listener question? No. Okay, recapping our trivia question. I can't remember exactly how I phrased it, but the Red Bulls recently set the points record for MLS in a regular season point total. And then, Matt, how many points did they get? And then what were the other top 5 teams in MLS history? You want to give your guess?
Top 5.
Yeah, top 5.
Okay, so wait, want me to go points now or?
Yeah, point. So Red Bulls points total. How about we start with that?
Okay, so 34 games. I'm gonna say they got like 72 points.
Okay.
And then other top 5 teams. You want me to say how many points they had, or like the other good teams?
Just the other good teams. How about that?
All right. Somebody broke a record last year, I want to say.
Yes, that's very good.
Atlanta.
Okay.
Am I right? Okay,
Well,
okay.
you're
I'll just list
technically,
them off.
yeah.
Okay. A Galaxy team, probably with Donovan. I don't know the year.
Okay.
Um, a Sounders team with Dempsey, one of the earlier years.
Okay.
The really early Galaxy team, like the 2000 or 2001. And then maybe a Red Bulls year.
All right. That's
Most
actually pretty
current.
good. Yeah, I gotta give you props there. So there was the Galaxy team from 1998 was fourth. The Galaxy team with Donovan was fifth. The Dempsey Sounders team was just outside the top five. They were seventh. Toronto from last year broke a record. That was the team you
Oh,
were thinking of.
that's what I was thinking.
Yep, and Atlanta actually tied their record this year. So it wasn't Atlanta last year, it was Atlanta this year. And then the Red Bulls set the record with 71 points, not 72. So you did pretty well, Matt, for not being like a hardcore MLS fan. I got to give you props there. Good job.
Thanks. I'm still in school, so guessing is really just my. I'm in test mode right now. Guessing is really just what I'm good at.
That's good. All right. Well, that's a good skill to have. Listeners, thank you so much for being here. If you like what we're doing, please leave a review on whatever podcasting platform you listen to us on. iTunes are greatly appreciated. That probably helps the most. But wherever you listen to us, if you just take a couple seconds to leave a review, I can't tell you how much it really helps us out and means a lot to us. On top of that, currently, we are selling Bros Talking Soccer t-shirts. I designed them myself. I did a little sketch of our bearded silhouettes, and they're on sale until November 8th. So these are, it's not like they keep being on sale. These are like, I guess, limited edition. We're going to do one of these maybe once a quarter, and this will be the only time where you can get kind of this design in this t-shirt. So it would greatly help us out. And, we would just appreciate it so much. They're $30, long sleeve tees. They come in light blue and gray, and we have it linked in the podcast description and podcast show notes and video description. So please check them out. And, if you want to support us, that would be awesome. Additionally, since we have a little bit of time here, I'm just going to throw some ideas out there. We are trying to make this a little bit more official and trying to monetize this in some way. So if you have thoughts or suggestions on how to do that, if you would be open to supporting us through like a Patreon, just like a contribution, just donation, let us know. If you have other thoughts, like if you wanted to have additional content, like extra episodes or stuff, I really don't want to put anything behind a paywall. I just want to offer you guys things that you guys just feel motivated and interested in supporting. So, we'd love to hear from you at BT Soccer Pods, our Twitter, or email us bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. Also, I know anyone out there who listens to the Total Soccer Show, which is an awesome podcast, they do this thing where they have scouts, they assign scouts. So you give a small fee per month, and then they assign somebody a scout, so a youth player, for you to like report back on it. And it's somewhat counterintuitive because you're basically paying to do work, but it gives you an input into the show and into the content they're creating. And I really love that sort of concept. And so I was brainstorming, like if we had a correspondent for a particular league or an area, if you would be interested in that, and we would have you either on the podcast, or you could send us a report. We would do one of those shows, whether it's once a month or once a week, if we get enough different people, something like that. So again, I don't know. I'm just trying to brainstorm here and really trying to see this thing grow. We've been growing about 10% per month, which is pretty awesome for the last 6 months. We've almost doubled our listeners, which is awesome. We really appreciate everybody that listens. And so, thank you guys so much. And, would love to kind of keep this momentum going and see if we can build this into something, more awesome. If you want to read about us and check out some past episodes and support the show as it exists right now, go to brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com. There you can visit the store link, and you can buy the t-shirt or the long sleeve tees I was talking about. But you can also, if you're buying anything on Amazon, click the link off of the store page to Amazon. And if you buy anything on Amazon, no additional cost to you, we end up getting a small percentage of that. And so that would just be awesome. And, it would just be helping support the show, just a small amount to get started. And then, hopefully we can do some other things that I was mentioning before. Matt, thanks for being here. Sorry for that long, I know I've been going on for a while now, but thanks for staying at least somewhat paying attention throughout.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast, Dave.
All right, listeners, thank you so much for being here. We will have a guest this weekend, John Collins, who has been on before. I think his podcast name is The Game of Footy. I could have that wrong. I apologize, John, if I don't have the name right. But we will be recording live Sunday, November 11th at around 4 p.m. his time, 11 a.m. Our time, Eastern time. So 8 a.m. West Coast time. I hope everybody got those times. Whatever. Follow us on Twitter, and you'll know what the hell I'm talking about. All right, listeners, I'm gonna stop talking at this point, and just thank you again for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. See you, everybody. All right, people of YouTube, thanks for being here. I know we had one viewer that came and went, so at least we got one. And yeah, thanks for being here. If you're watching in the future, thanks so much for sticking with us, and we'll talk to you soon. See you, everybody.